Over to Mr. Aditya Berlia.
Thank you so much. It's a deep pleasure, and it's so amazing to see all of you once again to this event, which I look forward to every year. What I love is that everybody here has almost become like family, where we are meeting, working, and I love our technical sessions because I always learn something more. So I'm going to cover something a little bit different than what we usually do, and which is talk about AI in healthcare. Now, here's the thing. Last year, I caught the AI bug, and I went on a now 75-city tour teaching CEOs in classrooms of 70, 80 people how to bring AI into their organizations. Now, the problem with this is every week, every 2 weeks, the entire field of AI changes. So I'm going to show you a couple of things, but pardon me, tomorrow morning this could all be obsolete. So I'm just going to caution you on that. And this is a 8-week course compressed to a 4-week course, compressed to a 14-hour course, compressed to an 11-hour course. And now I've been asked to do this in 1 hour, 45 minutes or something. So bear with me as I go fast. And I'll try to cover some of the top topics. How much do I have? 20 minutes? Oh, no option. Geez, 20 minutes. Okay. So let me rush through this as quickly as possible. I'm going to do some setups and everything. And we'll run through the question. The only thing which I'll apologize for is I was hoping to get some proprietary systems, but unfortunately, because of non-disclosure agreements and since this is being streamed on the internet, I am going to use only publicly available tools right now. So you can just imagine how better this would have been had we used some amazing proprietary medical stuff. So let's dive in. Some of the things which I hope to cover very quickly is talking about AI's help and support as a diagnostic assistant, liability protection for doctors, improving delivery efficiencies and costs across the healthcare system. And in India, that's a big concern because of our scale. Imaging and re-diagnostics at scale, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, research support and update, custom treatment plans, patient well-being and monitoring, counseling, and mental health. Now, healthcare is very broad. Like I said, I could do this in a 3-day course and we'd still cover the surface. But I want to do live examples. One of the things which I hate is going to AI conferences where they talk about how great AI is, and I say, okay, show me. You can keep talking about it, but what does this actually look like? So I'm going to, now that we have a short amount of time, rush through this fairly quickly. So let me walk you through a couple of things. What I'm going to do, and again, I apologize, this is a semi-fine-tuned bot, which means it's not proprietary. I'm going to take a case. And this case, which I'm going to start with, is just a very simple one. Now, as of last year, AI bots off-shelf Swan started completing the American med exams. As of a week ago, most of them now get 92, 93% marks. And a seminal study last year, particularly looking at diagnostic cases, found that they were able to beat most medical students. Stanford's done their, Harvard's done their back one, cleanly and amazingly at when it's coming to diagnostics. So let's take a simple one. You can all read this, hopefully. A 32-year-old woman presents to the clinic with a 6-month history of irregular menstrual cycles, 21 to 35 days, difficulty conceiving, acne, hirsutism, recent weight gain, type 2 diabetes, managed with metformin, no previous surgery, no smoke or consume alcohol or drugs, BMI is 31 kgs per meter square. On examination, you note an elevated blood pressure of 135/85, central obesity, several acne lesions on the face and the upper back pelvic. Ultrasound reveals multiple small cysts on both ovaries. This is obviously our panel. PCOS. Quite an easy one, right? All right, so I'm going to add my prompt on top. And it was wonderful to read this, but let's see. Okay. So we're going to say that he's a researcher in gynecology, help us understand the case. So I'm going to run this. And let's ask the first question. The first question I'm going to ask, what is the most likely diagnostic for this patient, right? And one thing which I love, this is unfortunately doing live, is the internet connection. So let's start with the diagnostics. And by the way, don't try this at home. All of you know how irritating it is when patients start using Google. Imagine once they start using this crazy stuff. So it's PCOS, elevated blood pressure to coexist with PCOS. Great. What is the diagnostic criteria? So running through the diagnostic criteria. So far so good? On the right track? Let's ask for a treatment plan, comprehensive treatment plan with symptoms, desire to conceive. Plan should include lifestyle modifications, pharmacological treatments, and any other therapeutic interventions. Let's try to get a treatment plan done. So lifestyle modification, weight loss and diet, 5 to 10%, low glycemic index, exercise, stress management, yoga, meditation, metformin. Type 2 ovulation-inducing agent, clomiphene citrate is a first-line treatment recommended. Anti-androgens for hysterism might be thing. Other therapeutic therapy. Okay, great. Please give a detailed and comprehensive prescription for this patient with correct dosages. So far, so good? Not too bad. I know some of you might disagree, but not too bad. Also got the letrozole in. Okay, let's go forward. 3 months later, the patient returns for a follow-up. She has lost 5% of her body weight and reports a slight improvement in menstrual regularity. However, she has not conceived and is experiencing gastrointestinal side effects of metformin. Her blood pressure has improved to 128/78. How would you adjust her treatment plan? Dose adjustment, slow release formulation or extended release, fertility adjustment. And by the way, this is not medically trained, this is general purpose model. The medically trained ones are even more insane, where they can really go in. Okay, now we could go on and on and on, and fertility specialist referral, all of that. Let's do some fun stuff with this. Great, please. Write up this case in a comprehensive and detailed manner for a top 4 medical journal. Now, while it's doing this and creating the abstract and everything else, since I don't have time, I'm going to ask AI to make a Bollywood song on incredible doctors attending the Walter Bushnell Foundation scientific research session. And I ran this earlier. Let's see what it came up with. In the land of dreams, love unfolds. A symphony of heart, stories untold. Through the skies, they stand tall. Heroes in white coats. And this is generated now, like 2 minutes ago. The selfless devotion, guiding us through the darkest devotion. To balance knowledge and healing potions. These incredible doctors stop miracles in motion. I'm going to try that with the 80s style dance song.
Neon lights, the air is charged. In a room filled with doctors in white coats. They're seekers of knowledge, pioneers of thought. Sparkling minds, they're calling the shots. Dancing with the innovators, rocking to the beat of medical creators. We are unstoppable, no cure to solve. At the walls of Bushville, foundation, we've got the right stuff.
Not too bad. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. This dropped about a month ago. I think it's really cool. And okay, so we have an abstract, we have the introduction, case presentation, management outcome, discussion, standard, great. Let's try, and I'm going to steal a prompt which I have existingly. Yeah, okay, let's prepare the slides for the conference. And while it's doing that, let's do some imaging. And so I'm going to do some cool stuff in imaging. I would take time there. So I'm going to ask it for a photograph of Indian doctor portrayed as a superhero, dramatic manner, dramatic lighting conditions, dynamic composition surrounded by medical equipment. And since you have a lot of IVF people here, I'm going to ask it for some interiors for IVF centers. So ultra-realistic photograph of luxury IVF center, styled in elegant manner, balanced light conditions, upscale. And I'm going to put in another one. Let's do a different type of design for an IVF center waiting room, high-rise building, contemporary manner. So while it's building out those, let's go back to our thing, perfect. Okay, so the very simple slides. We would of course go back and forth and do this. And what I'm going to do is now ask it to quickly build the slides for me. And so we took that content, asked it to put in slides, and then we're going to ask the system to generate out those slides. And this might take a few more minutes than I'd like to, since I don't have time. Oh, there we go. And now it's creating the slides. And it's picking up pictures from, of course, the database. Obviously, you can point it to how you want it. And so it runs the introduction. And make some nice ways of doing talks about the case. Metabolic health and all. But this is all live, right? I'm doing this with you. While it's creating the diagnostic criteria and all of that, let's go back to where we were on our pictures. And so the first one I thought was very cool. Let's open these out. So these are our superhero doctors. That are very cool. These are our luxury interiors. And this is the other IVF center, which is more contemporary design. And they're all done live, right? So 5 minutes. So imagine if you have unlimited ability to generate this, that, etc. Okay, I have no clue how much time I have left, but let me rush back. Now that we have made our slides, let's look at the slides. Right, so treatment adjustment, side effects, manuals, initial treatment plan, all of the stuff, slides made instantly pulled in from this. So very, very cool. And I'm going to do a quick diabetes one since that's always fun. But this is what I love about this one. So let's do a case in diabetes. And we're going to say, you're a medical researcher. Okay, so we're going to do something different this time. Right, so we're going to have this entire, the medical case study, the clinical presentation, the lab tests, everything else. But we're going to try something very different. Okay, so what we're going to say, we're going to ask it to read the latest American Clinical Association's diabetes management criteria and standards of care and run this case through their classification system. Right, so what I'm going to go back and I'm going to open this out if I can find my window, which always is hard to find. There we go. Okay, understood, ready? So I'm going to upload this standards of diabetes, put up the file and say, great. Using these standards, please run the classification of the patient and explain everything in great detail. And now it's going to read the entire classification, right? It's about 49 pages, figure out what's the latest system, and then explain how to classify this patient into the guidelines. If I had time, I would ask it to make a clinical protocol, a hospital management system, and we'd go down category by category by category. And of course, this is based on the standards of care from the American Diabetes Association. This is the classification. This is the management we should do. And the diagnostic plans, etc., and such. And just for fun, since we have about a few minutes left, so I'm going to show you something really quickly. This is, where did it go? This is the Vajal Institute. This is what we've been spending the last couple of months on, which is dedicated to training about 1 million people on AI. And one of the things what we realized people are not doing is they're using very short prompts, like 10 words and all. So here's the thing, if you're not using at least 450 words for your prompts, you're doing it wrong. But if you don't get inspiration, we have this directory which can, for every single business, and we are getting the healthcare directory as soon as we can figure out the liability. And we have these brilliant prompts. And so this one I'm going to use, and all of our prompts are about 450 words. Right? So what I'm going to do is use this prompt. I'm just going to copy paste it in. And we're going to ask it as a nutritionist to come up with a Mediterranean diet for diabetes management. And we go back. Diabetes. And it's a huge prompt. Embark on the task, comprehensive 7-day meal plan, grocery list, factor in frequency, provide tips on sustainability, diabetes. Well, anyway, so I'll let it run since I don't have time to edit the entire thing out, conclude for monitoring, etc. Right? Yeah, I should have went to cardiovascular, I should have done cardio, but so then it wants to framework. Now, of course, you can tell it this is an Indian vegetarian patient, and it'll create an Indian vegetarian menu, tailored day to day and day. And so this type of customized treatment plans, customized nutrition plans are now available at a drop of a hat. So how many minutes do I have left? I don't have a... Am I over? You're not put the timer on me? So grocery lists, cooking methods, and you can go back and forth. Let me get back to some core principles after showing you this, and I'll end after that on questions and everything else. Okay, so a couple of things. One of the big changes what we have is that, in early diagnostics, and we just had the antibiotic question, which I love that session. And I think one of the very interesting parts about it is the time it takes to diagnose viral versus bacterial, right? And in a lot of cases, people use antibiotics as first-line treatments. and being able to change that is there. But here's a problem. Can we see viruses under a microscope? Yes, no? Not under a traditional microscope, right? You can see bacteria and all. But now, thanks to artificial AI imaging, the electron microscopes, this one I think costs around 7 to 8 lakh rupees, about 10,000 or so dollars. And the electron microscope can immediately take a blood sample, take pictures of the actual virus or bacteria, and run an AI imaging sequencer to quickly identify it within 2 to 3 hours, whether it is, so virus instantly, and bacteria after 3 hours of expedited culture. And so by this year, we are going to see diagnostic criteria, US FDA and other regulators pending, who are going to be able to take a significant amount of blood. You can't do the pinprick ones, but really be able to mass run them through diagnostics on imaging. And this, by the way, is applicable to existing data and scans. And here's a wonderful Mayo Clinic study where they were able to take old CT scans and using AI methods, be able to get pancreatic cancer diagnosed 36 months before the clinical symptoms, or before a human being could have identified it using the scans. And so what we are seeing is massive in this year, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, and a whole bunch of early detections pushed back by a couple of years. So instead of reaching stage 2, stage 3, we are going to go to stage 0. Most of this stuff is coming out in the next 3 to 4 months. I think it's going to completely change. One of the big issues that a country like India faces is that the vast majority of patients go undiagnosed. And they go undiagnosed because they just don't have access to diagnosis. Our wonderful doctors in the field are working with limited facts at extremely fast pace. So if we can bring this cost down and be able to just take existing images, upload it to a nice AI cloud, and immediately get answers in the first visit or in the visit immediately after, not waiting 1 week or 2 weeks, I think it fundamentally changes how we look at healthcare and treatment. But how is this going to work? The big problem is with AI, the experts, all of you in the room, right? L1s and L2s and AI is L2. This is how it's going to work. You're going to have multiple different AI models. I've shown you one. There are a lot of competing ones, giving you their suggestions and opinions. These hopefully will arrive at the doctor's desk. Now the doctor, the expert, is going to weigh and balance because many of these models might get it wrong. They might have different suggestions based on how they're trained. On the data, there's a localization involved. The experts decides then what they think is the right call, and then they are the ones who make the right decision. So as these are going to roll out, this in fact increases expert productivity, doctor productivity, and really puts all of you in the driver's seat, because a lot of the stuff that you had to do, whether it's taking medical notes or writing up prescriptions or analyzing drug-drug interactions, that can be pushed into AI. And then you're the one who actually has the 360 picture and be able to take the very important call. In the US, for example, they're also adding a liability checker. And a lot of lawyers and insurance companies want this, just to check for drug-drug interactions, certain laws for insurance plans. And so it once checks back, and it might go to the doctor and say, hey doc, love your diagnosis, everything is great, but these are some of the liability issues the legal plan or the insurance plan has come up with. Can you change something or just check it once? And so it's hugely powerful because it will stop doctors from second guessing themselves. They have somebody who can look through all the legal muck that doesn't apply to a medical practice, but might be part of the hospital guidelines or regulatory that's not necessarily clinical, and sort of that can come in as well. All of this stuff, by the way, is already out. Right? This is not science fiction. I showed you one example of a model. All of this is out. And it's coming in more and more into practice. There is a lot of issues on consistency, whether we can trust these models or not. But since April of last year, things have gotten crazy. And I'm going to do 2 things before giving up my time. So one of the things is the thing that dropped about 2 months ago, which is the ability of high quality audio patient counseling. And so this thing which I'm using speaks in 40 languages. Hindi it can understand and type, it can't speak, but it can choose and switch languages on demand. So I'm just going to do an English one. And this is a customer support counselor at an IVF clinic. And I'm hoping the internet keeps up with me. Oh, come on, internet. Connecting. One second, let me try to get this off this and try again. Connecting. So if this doesn't work, I'll tell you what it's saying, but basically you can have a very complicated conversation in audio with AI real time, and it'll, oh, hi, I'm calling about so my wife and I are unable to conceive. My mother-in-law is driving me crazy. My mother is driving me crazy. They want grandkids. I mean, okay, I know I just called you guys, but how can you help? Let me take someone for the internet. Internet speed. So it's giving me the text, but it's not predicting on the voice yet. It'll come. No. I'll make the video and I'll send it to you all. The connection failed. This is the only risk of doing live demos, is the internet speed messes up and you're like back to the thing. I'll try once more and then I'll move on. I didn't want to show you something really fun. Yeah. So anyway, the difference is I could ramble on as a patient, right? And the earlier robots wouldn't understand what's this patient rambling on about. These ones now perfectly understand. They're able to give the perfect answer back, and they're able to chat back and forth. I can show you what they wanted to say but didn't say finally. And I'm going to end on one last funny one. So she understood, right? And we ran this. And so I'll show you the text version, but this goes voice back and forth. And this will come up hopefully soon. And just for fun, I want to try one cool thing. I'm going to take the prescription from a Bangladeshi doctor, just to be safe. You are an expert pharmacist, since we covered pharmacist, with 15 years of experience understanding doctors' handwriting. Please look at this prescription and give us complete and comprehensive details about it. I'm going to use a small prompt. And as you can see, it's I haven't shown you this. It's a reasonably, doctor-like prescription. But this is a real one from Bangladesh. I picked this up. And it's able to pick up the disease state, the HTN, the NTK thing, and of course the medications, and the frequency, and full explanation. So, one nice thing for patients is now they're going to just be taking pictures of these and uploading and saying, what does this really say? But also I think it's a great way to start pushing out, handwriting and all. And I know some of you have moved to computers and all, but I still believe in the pen. I'll close on that. There's a lot more happening. The Walter Bushnell team has asked me, the Vajal memberships for people and organizations right now cost about $10,000, where you can take all of these courses online and learn this. I believe the Walter Bushnell, the CRC, the Corporate Research Center, is doing something for all of you, so please contact them. And I think if you can use them, they'll be able to get some of this in your hand very quickly. And I'll stop there. Questions?
Is this on? I have no idea.
It should just
Perfect. I think so. Yeah. Good. Thank you. It was fascinating. I have a list of questions here, about 6 or 7 deep. So do we have an hour or so to questions?
Sure. No such thing as time, right? We all can wait a few more minutes for.
I have lots of questions, but I'm going to ask you one, which I'd like you to help me understand. What in the heck is AI? Because I know machine learning, I know these things. Tell me what AI is.
So the best way to learn AI is to understand this joke. Machine learning and computers are in which programming language? In which language?
Depends.
Python, C++, etc. What is the language AI uses? PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
It's whatever you want to brand it as AI. And I think this is one of the big problems that we see. I make this joke that everybody who was a crypto coin expert a year and a half ago is an AI expert now. And so there's a lot of hype around this. And that's one of the big focus of what you're trying to do is to show you how to use it rather than talk about it in generalities. What I use is something called generative AI, which you can absolutely not trust. Remember that. Which all it's trying to ask, and if I had time, I'd show you how this works. But what's the next word? And nobody expected this to work. Even the people who made it, and I met some of them, didn't know this would work. And April of last year, it suddenly magically worked. And that's why you see everybody now trying to turn all the AI ships towards this new thing. But happy to send you my slides on this, and you can see the course on it.
I still don't know what it is, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. So again,
that's the key.
It is a predictive model of what the next word. How does that go from here to giving us clinical guidelines is a leap that I'll need about 15 minutes more to walk you through.
Great, thank you.
Hi. This time the Stud Volume 7, the new one, the first chapter on AI is written by me and Dr. Nandita and Dr. Reshma. AI in reproductive medicine in the Stud, which has just come out. So we have been using AI in our practice for the last 3 years now. Mainly we use it for embryology. So we use it for grading embryos. We use it for grading oocytes. And
those are the vision models which are getting better and better and better, right?
So of course, my colleague Nandita also uses it a lot to question when she's doing presentations. She's much more adept at it than I am using it. But I feel that the biggest problem at present which we will face in the AI is a lot of explosion of knowledge. So there are a lot of programs, so many EMR systems are there, different embryo grade companies are competing in the market. You have prediction for preterm birth, you have prediction for cancer. So it's going to be difficult to select the program and utilize it because there's an explosion of programs.
Yeah, and there's a new one every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the selection is going to be a problem. And the second thing is we must know the science because we don't know whether AI is telling you the right thing or wrong thing. So you ultimately, suppose AI gives you a presentation on PCOS, how do you know that it is given you the correct presentation? If you keep on asking question to ChatGPT, after some time, ChatGPT goes mad and it starts behaving badly and starts answering you back. Okay, so because it gets irritated, and then it may give you the wrong answer. So you must have the knowledge to find out whether what ChatGPT is telling you is the right thing or the wrong thing. Okay, so you need the presentation, you need to go to Google again to find out whether ChatGPT otherwise you will give a presentation which is totally gone wrong. So you have to have that basic knowledge. So I don't think you can do away with the basic grounding. You have to use it to use your discretion to find out whether AI is giving you the right answer or not. So that is going to be always there. The doubt will always be at the back of your mind. Are you making a big mistake in going in a wrong direction? When we do traditional researching, you go to multiple sites, you read a lot of papers and then you derive that knowledge and then you make your presentation. Here some lady there, an electronic babe is making your presentation for you. You don't know whether she's on the right track or not. So this is the biggest problem with AI.
No, Dr. Pai, and this is very important. Is ChatGPT and other large language models, Gemini search engines? Yes or no? No. Where do they get the data from? All over the internet. Do you trust everything you read on the internet? No. If I took one newspaper's name, can I get everybody to agree that you all think this newspaper is the right source of information? Can I get one journal, IOG, apart from IOG, which you can all agree is the number one source of information? I don't think so, and I think so that's why it's there. So one of the big things this is the formula which you have to really think about. Pick the model, and again, ChatGPT 4 public version isn't fine-tuned towards medicals, but you can take these models and make them perfectly attuned to the latest medical research out of the box, which is what many companies are doing, and I'm seeing a lot of those come out. But you have to put your context. Your context is important. rural, urban, India, all of that changes, how you see the world. And that's why you need the 450 prompts. A lot of the mistakes that even ChatGPT and all make is because people use one line, give me a presentation on PCOS. That's not going to help, right? You have to first outline what you want, what's the details, this. The second is data. And as Sir rightly pointed out, you can't trust the data inside these models. Don't. But what you can say is, I want that presentation. Here are the 10 papers that I want you to read. Here are the 2 books and all. Read all of them. And based on that and only that, without going left, right, and center, make that presentation. So for example, since we had some cool thought processes on FOGC guidelines, I uploaded the hysterectomy guidelines for IVF centers in rural, and it's sort of coming out with one by one protocols, but I've told it only use FOGC guidelines. Don't go left, don't go right, don't use the American ones, don't use anything else. Stick to these and basis on that. And so please don't use these willy-nilly. You have to upload the exact data you want. You can't trust it out of the box. And I think the next models coming out, which have a lot of these data systems built in, good connectivity to the various journals, PubMed. They're already here, actually. I've used some of them, but I think they're going to become cheaper and more publicly accessible soon.
So the one which is free.
Don't use that. You get what you pay for.
Aditya, before we start,
It costs 3,000 rupees a month, plus.
I was just saying that before we started this whole session, he was saying, I'm going to give you a lot of sleepless nights. And after I heard you, I thought I can really sleep well because ChatGPT is going to do all my work, all the presentations, and I'll give you a real-time story.
Narendra used to do.
Never. So I'll just tell you, I mean, I edit 2 journals and there are many presentations which I make, and there's always paucity of time. And my secretary, he is really, after me. So one day, I think about 3 days, he was after me that I had to write a editorial for one of the journals. And he got really fed up because I couldn't do it. He said, Madam, I have written something. Can you please have a look at it? And I was absolutely zapped. I said, oh, why and how did you do it? I mean, you're too good. And he said, ma'am, ChatGPT. And
yeah, by the way, all those people, suddenly, so I joke, in education institutions, what's the number one way that students get caught using ChatGPT and other AI models? Right? The teacher looks at them and said, you are too stupid to have written this.
True. And I feel that a judicious use of all the technology is something which is really, really important. And human beings are going to be human beings. You can't really match their intelligence. This is all the creation of their intelligence only. But judicious use is very important. And I think the right choice at the right time of the right things is something which is going to take us forward. And yes, we can use it in a most intelligent way. I think sleepless nights again probably can be avoided because a lot of these guidelines can be immediately checked. By the time the patient is sitting, I just Google through. But yes, of course, the right track is very, very important. And that's something which we should be very much looking into. Thank you so much for a fabulous talk.
Please, one thing which I want to show you, right? So ChatGPT is an AI model. It's one model and it's become famous because they were the first. How many models are competing now against it? You've heard of Google, Microsoft, 5, 10, 20?
5,000.
This is the number as of this morning.
500,000.
And so the boom, and when I started last year, there were about 3,000 to 4,000, and in 1 year it's gone to 500,000. And all of these models are competing on a lot of things, and there are at least 10, 20 models which are dedicated only to into medical writing, medical research, practice, all of these. And you're going to see those come out, I think, in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Become a member of the institute, you'll get updates.
So, excellent presentation. I think everybody was sleeping is awake. And Though we all know that AI is definitely very efficient and can analyze lots and lots of data without any problem, but it has its own problems, we all know. It is unable to have any emotions, as we have all seen, unable to have self-repair. Whatever wrong is done. And also, we are going to face a lot of job problems with this. And of course, lack of creativity, out-of-box thinking, and ethical consideration. That's the most important thing. Sooner, I think, whosoever has the treatment, the data is going to be there all over. And that is going to cause lots and lots of problems. So that is a very worrisome thing.
By the way, AI has great emotions. Write a poem on the struggles of IVF from the perspective of a mother. It's really good. What I wanted to do, if the internet was working, was to have a chat, a very emotional chat with the customer representative, and you would have seen them very, very on point, understanding emotions, being sympathetic, counseling. As of a few months ago, it's become really good. Again, these things change every 2 weeks. Great at poetry, by the way. You know, rewrite this poem in the style of Gabbar Singh. Great. Yep. Try it from his perspective. We do. So that's what I'm going around the world, 11-hour class. 11 hours, 0 to 100 on how to start using it, how to bring it into your organization. Or you can just go online. We have the online version coming out in the next 2-3 days. So, you know, like a CME with proper stuff.
Say, Mr. Berlia, change is the constant thing in life, and we must take it as it comes happily. And I think we are very pleased with Google. Once upon a time, we used to go to library and search through the books shelf by shelf, and when we wrote our thesis. But I think we are very happy that Google is around, YouTube is around, and again, let us welcome ChatGPT with open arms.
Absolutely, please.
It was mesmerizing, insightful talk on AI, and I think we have to use it with responsibility for the patient care, and it is going to have very, very impactful in our patient, particularly in rural area where the multidisciplinary facilities are not available. So it will be going to great help for Indian public.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible point. I think one of the things is that what I love about this technology, obviously you can't trust it right now, but as it gets better and better, and again, you want multiple opinions from different AI models, you have to decide. But certainly in rural areas which may only have a very overwhelmed GP or an RMP even, at least getting some sort of support, I think would be fantastic. And they still have to be in the pilot seat, right? And that's one of the biggest things I've learned over the last year. The experts are the experts. What AI does really well is empower all the experts to get more information, save time, be more productive. But you can't do it without the experts because AI is not there, and I doubt it's going to be there for many, many years. Oh, question. Okay. Yes, you are the experts and you can sift through the information.
But what is the regulation that we as responsible people are having for the newer generations? Where will they...
Of doctors?
Of anyone.
No. So, I can tell you in the APJ education, so we have already declared 4 months ago that every single student will do everything using AI, or a faculty will do everything using AI, and everybody's going to. It's like going back and saying, don't teach the kids calculators because they'll forget how to do log tables. I mean, or don't teach them computers because, their handwriting will go bad. But you do need to create safe spaces for them to have the critical knowledge, understanding, skills, behaviors, which have to be saved from AI. And I think that's how it's going to work out. Going to be 15-20% of AI less, then about maybe 40-50% of AI enabled, and then maybe even 20-30% of AI. But I love giving this example. Remember, for some of you are older, so you remember, some of them are very young, so I apologize to the younger people here. But how many questions could you do on a math exam when you had to use log tables? Right, in 1 hour, maybe 10 questions, 1.5 hours. Then they give you a calculator. Did the exam become easier or harder? Become harder, because now you have to do 50 questions in the same 1.5 hours and think completely different, because they said, being able to calculate is no longer a skill. A calculator will do that, or Excel will do that. Now you have to think higher. And so I think the next generation is going to actually be far more pressured in education, because, you can write great English. Who cares? So can everybody else now. So they'll have to actually go to the next level, and that really excites me. And particularly for all of our students who don't have a great school to go to. I mean, all of us are the 1% or the 0.01% in India, but you can imagine all across the world, if every single student had a personal tutor who could ask them unlimited knowledge, and that's going to change the world on that. Awachi? The students or AI? Well, they'll talk to AI. Yeah, the problem is there is zero way to find out if somebody used ChatGPT or not. Okay, can I tell you the cheat code on how to cheat in ChatGPT? Please don't tell your kids. Right? 450 word prompt, but you say, here are 3-4 samples of my writing. Do it in the same tone, style, and level of it, and improve by 10%. Then after 1 month, you say, okay, now 10% better. Then after 1 month, 10% better. So the teacher thinks, oh my God, the student is learning so great. And all you're doing is keeping the writing style, tone, and level the same and going up and up and up. So education institutions, including medical education institutions, we're going to have to change how we look at examinations, how we look at project work, how we do that, because this is the new reality. And the quicker we face it, the faster we can transition, because I think next 3 months, 3 billion people will have access to some sort of AI model. Google has launched there in all the phones. Microsoft has launched in all the phones. Samsung, Xiaomi, all in 3 months are going to launch. So we have to face that. And I think the faster we do it and move on, 7 stages of grief, I think that's great. I think we're out of time almost. Last thoughts before I close?
I just think that, it's very important. It's very important for us, especially all of us who are OBGYNs. The first 9 months in utero and the 2 years afterwards are very, very important for the personality and the logic and analysis development of a child. And that is something which we should definitely invest into, otherwise they'll never be able to use any ChatGPT also properly. So we must definitely, those skills are very, very important, and all these mobiles, iPads, computers are taking that away from our children. And that's something we should definitely indulge and invest into.
Well, ma'am, thank you so much. I think we end on that. Sure.
Yeah, so what I feel is that the person will make a lot of money in the future, just like we have this organically grown food, right? So, in the future, similarly, you will have human-generated information. That will be the real value.
It's called right? Certified human crafted.
Right. This is purely generated by human brain and nothing else. So that will be the, the real, I would say high value kind of information in the future. My daughter is an engineer in US, and I was telling her that you should start a company where you say, okay,
certified human crafted.
Human generated.
Little logo there.